accommodate sidewalks. So that wipes out a lot of them. So we have never, as far as I know, we have never received any information regarding that. We know where the sidewalks are now, we know where they're not. We know where there's kind of a planned link, but we don't have reports from where they can go, so we can make a recommendation of where they should go. So that's my recollection of the last meeting that I don't see in here at all, and Stacy Eckert wasn't even present in the last meeting, and Liz ran the last
We
meeting.
spoke to him afterwards, because that was the consensus
I
of the
see.
discussion, so we spoke to him and that was.
Prior meeting, maybe we had that, with Stacy's gonna go, I don't know. I do remember him going to
I
the
thought he was
commission, but
there.
he wasn't at the last meeting.
Wasn't at the last meeting.
But he's in here in the minutes, so there needs to be amended.
Okay.
So, excuse me, but I think the difference was Lee was in charge, Lee was our leader then. And as far as I remember, we did do that, and then we went to
Did I-
Lee, basically.
Did I miss a meeting? 'Cause
No, it was
I
no
haven't
meeting.
received any
I
report.
just went to Lee and said, we really haven't finished up on what we're doing here, but
Right.
we've got to get where we're going, and I told him,
I think the
Teresa, I
workshops will
said,
be-
Teresa brought it up, and, so we were kind of looking towards the engineer, like you say, to give us an idea
I
what we
think the
could
workshops will be productive.
do, yeah,
Yeah,
but
I
that's,
think we just need to.
that's as far as I'm concerned, that's as far as I went with, with Lee on the whole thing, so that was it, and then I was out of it, so,
I think this board,
go ahead.
we wanted an overlay of
Mhm.
all of the city streets in Lake Helen, so that we can look at it, and we wanted to look at it right away in each of these areas. So at that point, we can determine if it's even feasible to put sidewalks in this area, that area, this area. I think that's what this board requested at that time.
Got that, Jim?
That's what I was.
Mhm.
Okay, all right,
So
so
that, we never did receive that, they were supposed to have it before the next meeting.
that's what I was gonna, when I talked to Lee, he was gonna work on it, that was it.
But until we get that, we can't
Can't make a
make
recommendation.
a recommendation until we see where we're going.
All right, so that's our next step, Jim, to try to get something from the engineer.
I will follow up with he and Rick, because I was told that was done.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that we can move
And
forward on
also
it. Go ahead.
vaguely
Go ahead.
remember that, this board was concerned with the fact that the commission was overriding and allowing certain citizens to either add sidewalks or not add sidewalks, and that was the concern, wasn't it,
Yes.
at the time?
Yeah, you're
So
right, you're right.
Stacy was going to go to the commission and talk to them about not doing that,
Yes, you're right, I
not
do remember
allowing,
that. I
not
do
allowing
remember
that to
yeah.
happen, because there was a major issue regarding citizens not having to put in sidewalks when they were required.
So that went nowhere, so we're really starting almost from scratch now.
So those are some of the
Get this thing,
issues
yes.
that need to be addressed as far as sidewalks.
Well, I spent time actually with Lee, and we went up and down these streets and figured out, most of these older streets, the houses, it's, there's no room for new ones to start with, so here, we had talked, actually, Teresa had brought up too, is when we're gonna do the stormwater, that's the time to discuss what we're gonna do with like these streets here. Are we gonna do sidewalks as part, because remember that, Teresa, we discussed that about, if you're gonna do the construction, you're probably gonna put sidewalks and curbs in.
We did discuss that in those areas.
Remember
where
that?
the
Yeah,
stormwater's gonna be done.
so, Teresa was right there, we got it, at that point is where then we'll discuss these places that don't have sidewalks in, for years, So, all right, that's basically it. All right. So now we're on the right path,
Are
right?
you approving the minutes?
Huh?
Are you gonna approve the minutes from the last?
That's what I'm just gonna do now, yeah. I'd like to have an approval on the minutes, please. Motion and a second.
Move improvements last meeting.
I second that.
Okay.
Give me a second.
I think there was an amendment. You were gonna make
I
an
have the
amendment.
amendment, yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So the motion's with the amendment.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Hang on, this one's mixed up. Okay. Okay. All right, that's, minutes are all taken care of. All right. Now, if nothing else, we might as well move on to our first subject. Okay. First,
Do you want to do that next?
we're working on is the Ohio Avenue
Yep.
project.
Step back,
No?
election of
Don't we
chairperson.
have to
Oh,
elect the
I'm
chairperson?
sorry, I'm sorry.
You're good, you're good.
I'm sorry, I'll get it, I'll get it. All right, so the next thing is we have to have an election. Now, the thing is, we have certain officers now, okay? Now, what's your thoughts as far as keeping the officers we got now or go all new for new officers?
You don't have a chairperson, because your
Yes,
chairperson.
Well, we'd
is
have
not-
to get a chairperson, that's all.
Mhm.
We'd have to elect the chairperson, that's basically it, really. So what I hear for a chairperson, then we get that done, and then the rest of them should stay where they're at, I think.
I would like to nominate Earl Farmer for chair.
I second that nomination.
I want to nominate Cookie.
Okay, so where are we gonna go with this?
There's a motion and a
Somebody can make a
second.
motion.
Huh?
There's a motion and a second for Mr. Farmer.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
We should vote.
So then we
Yeah.
got,
Unless there's any other discussion, we can call for the vote.
all right, so then we have to do our election. I think we can do it without all the baloney, can't we?
Sure.
Okay. How
Yeah.
many,
Is there
how many people do
discussion?
we can,
Any discussion on it? I think.
Well,
oh,
Earl, are you, would
Are
you
you
want
willing
to
to
accept? Before you vote on it, that would be,
I'm willing to take it, but as far as, as far as knowledge about the board, I just think that Cookie, Commissioner Cookie can do it. And I would recommend him, that we get a little more training, but I can do it, it's not a problem.
Then that would make co-chair.
co-chair.
Then we can, you know what I mean?
Yes,
I can see where Cookie
He gets, so he
could
could
take
It
chair
would be effective.
And I'll be co-chair.
and elect Earl Farmer as co-chair.
okay.
So do they
Or
have to vote
vice
on it because they
chair.
have
Is that
to
Vice
vote in a
chair.
second?
Say what I got
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, that sounds better.
It's a-
That's,
good.
that's
Tony White,
my,
I'll
that's
get him
my.
to go.
Tony White, he's the vice chair now.
I'll get him to
Are you with
withdraw.
that?
So let's stop.
Okay, from a technicality standpoint,
Okay.
Yes.
Oh,
would you
I got that.
withdraw, is there a motion to withdraw the first
Withdraw the
motion?
previous.
Okay,
um,
now a motion to approve co-chairs, Cookie and Mr. Farmer?
To promote Cookie as
Chair.
chair and
Earl as
recommend
vice chair.
Earl as
As co-chair.
co-chair.
Vice chair.
If Cookie wants to accept chair.
Yes,
I will.
And if
and I will.
And a second?
Second.
Okay.
And then after that, I can retire.
get that big pension.
Yes. I'd be more than pleased to do it. Like I said, been on it for so many years and stuff, and I really do spend a lot of time on each project to make sure that we're where we are. And now we got some people that are
Yeah.
doing the same thing.
Vote.
Well, that was my next. All right, so, all right,
Stop holding Jimmy Jack.
Right.
yes. So, I'd like to have a vote for it. How can we do it, by hands or?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oh, boy, that was easy, wasn't it?
Anybody opposed? Ayes have it.
Okay,
Thank you.
There you go.
that was easy. All right. Now can we go into the
Yes, you
first?
can.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. All right, our first situation, first customer here is the job on Ohio Avenue for an easement right-of-way on a piece of property, splitting a piece of property. And I'll tell you one thing, this guy sure likes to do a lot of writing, doesn't he? To read all this writing?
I'm not sure if the applicant is here, Cookie.
Huh?
Is the applicant here?
That's what I was just.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
He's there, they're there. So just-
Gentlemen,
We both are.
And also, Chairman, what I handed out to you was a aerial map of the lot, a Google map, a zoning map of the area, and I also gave you a copy of the SFR rural zoning for that piece of property. That's what I handed out to you. It should be right there.
yeah, I got it here.
Okay, yeah.
I got it right here on my
They're
thing.
not in the-
And I will say I went out. I didn't walk all the way in the back. That's too much walking for me after being in the hospital.
That property is deep.
But what I see is, believe it or not, I spent some time with Debbie, and she had to be out of town. And it's very interesting what we went through and everything else. Now, the main thing on this situation is, first thing I questioned was the lot, and stuff like that. And then Debbie and me sat down, we went over it and everything else. And even if you do the, I'll be honest with you, when Debbie said 50 feet, I says, 50 feet for a driveway going to, or an easement?
Yeah.
Now, my question to both of you is, this piece of property, the 500 some feet in the back, right? Okay.
Cookie, before you go to that
Go ahead.
thought, may I get your name?
Oh,
Your
I'm
name
sorry.
and address?
Keith Stevenson. My address, 1955 East Kickletter Road.
Perfect, thank you. Thank you. You're
Sorry.
good.
Okay, and my question is, on your back piece of property, just going out there a little bit and stuff like that, how many homes are you figuring on putting that 500 some feet in the back?
One.
Just one home, that's it?
Let's just take the parcel.
Oh, okay, I didn't know if you were gonna,
We wanted to split it 3 times,
Go
but
ahead.
it just, the way it's set up and the way it was, it just, I don't feel like it worked to be able to put multiple homes back there.
well, at least you answered my question.
Yeah, so we were
That's a
ideally
good
put
thing.
one, probably
Yes.
2,800 square foot home back there, roughly on 6 acres.
I'm just gonna throw a little personal note in there. Just with the live oaks and stuff, if it's possible, this is only my personal thing, is if you got some nice live oaks there, I looked at one nice one that,
Some beautiful ones out
I was just gonna
there.
say,
I'm gonna keep it every one I possibly can.
okay, all right, that's why,
That's why I fell in love with the property
that's-
in the first place.
that's my
And it's
personal thing,
Nice out there.
with the live oaks. But anyhow, I really don't see any,
Ideally, probably
Yeah, I know.
so it's probably gonna have to be towards the back a little bit more. If I had to guess, it's gonna be probably more back here. Only because there's some big oaks, well, we're gonna have to get a, issue before we start really gonna have a tree survey for this area to try to keep as much as possible. But I think my idea is to put a shop down right here, and possibly a house right here, because there's 2 homes back here. Yeah, there's one right here, and I think there's a home right here. So I don't really want it that close to those houses, it's trying to get a little.
Wait, you're gonna complete all this setbacks and all the boundaries, right?
Yeah, I think it's like 50
It's
foot.
huge,
It's-
yeah, huge piece of property.
Yeah, it's
Long and-
plenty, it's that big. There's a lot of
Thank
it.
Chair, can I be recognized for just 1 minute?
sure,
So just for the applicant's benefit, the one lot split is great. Anything beyond this one lot split is going to require a full road, it has to be the full right of way, and it's gonna have to be platted. So
And that's
just,
the other
just
reason
keep
why
it,
That's why we chose to just split
Exactly,
once
just
and
so
not-
it's on the record and everyone's aware, any future splits that are gonna happen here beyond these two lots are gonna require a full plat, and you're gonna have to meet the city road standards at that
So if they
time.
try to split it again later.
Exactly, so if you bring that road up, like, you're just meeting the requirements of the 100 foot of right of way and the 50 foot wide, so just know if you're gonna split it further down the road, or somebody else chooses to split it further, we do have to go through the final platting process to make that happen.
Yeah, that was our
Okay.
understanding in the beginning, is why, kind of why we would like to get one more piece of property and
Yeah, it's.
to do all that other work, to get one more, it wasn't worth the money.
Yeah, between the front and rear setbacks and the open space,
Yeah.
2.5 minimum.
And I think we build a nicer, I mean, it's a good area, and build a nicer, home, and it kind of matches the house to the left, that's got a long property, with a long driveway, and the house to the right's got the same thing, so we're kind of
Right,
mimicking the same thing. that's
I've
on the right
noticed
on
that
the
too, with
left.
the other properties next to you.
And then the house up front, we completely remodeled, and it's ready to go back on the market.
You're getting there though, it looks pretty
Yeah,
good, I
it's- they
was
just did
walking
all the
around there,
landscaping
yeah.
And everything like that, so we're just finishing up.
Now, I have a question for you.
Sure.
When Debbie said to me, she says, oh, well, Cookie, it's gonna be a 50-foot road. I said, Deb, where the hell did you come up with a 50?
So-
What happened to a 30-foot road? That's
So
what
the
it was
reason
always
why
standard.
The reason why I required 50 foot of right of way is just for what I just said. If they don't reserve the 50 foot of right of way now, and they decide to split this ever in the future, you're gonna have a substandard road, and if that substandard road ever comes back to the city, it's not gonna meet city standards. So we recommend it on the easement in this case because it's unknown, right? I mean, I know these gentlemen are saying this is what's happening,
But
but
we're
they're
gonna
gonna
sell
sell it, they're gonna sell it to somebody else, and who's gonna come in and ask that question? And we're gonna have to say we don't support it because we can't build a road there someday if we need to, as a city. So that's the recommendation, that they had more than sufficient area
Area to
to
do it.
accommodate it, so it made sense to just let them do this. The only other thing that I'm gonna say is when you get lot 2, when you do your minor sub, I'm just gonna want you to sit with the fire folks and the EMS and just make sure that whatever surface you choose, that it's stabilized so that they can bring a truck back there and serve that back lot. And we can handle that during the permitting process, so it's not a big deal, but that's the other thing that we just wanna be concerned about is that back access, having access for the fire vehicles.
Okay, now you've answered my question,
I tried.
most of the way.
That's right.
So now, it was a 50-foot
I
easement,
know.
Correct,
not a 50-foot road.
and that's okay,
All
they
right,
can do it
that-
by
you
easement,
just clarified that, which was very good. Okay, now we're at a 50-foot easement,
correct.
and the road is 30-foot or whatever you're gonna do. When she said that, I thought it was a road, and she said, no, it's an easement.
Yeah, that's where I wasn't sure, because originally we had put 30 foot.
That's why you got my comment.
And then I got the comments, and you basically said, if I'm ever gonna do anything in the future.
But that does make sense. It does make a lot of sense that it's 50-foot easement, so you can move around a little bit too.
It's better to do it now. in case-
All right, my big question to you is, who's gonna have the car to make this sharp turn going in
That's a
there?
pretty big turn.
I mean, you know-
When you go out there and you think, oh, 50 foot, that's 50 foot by 50 foot, that's a pretty big turn.
So you can squeeze it through. I looked at it and I said, wait a minute, the
I
thing
pulled-
goes like
I
this.
pulled my truck, trailer, skid steer and everything on it with a 24-foot trailer, and I was still able to do it. So-
That's when I first looked at it, but now it's
Remember
50
that,
feet.
remember 2.8, two-area travel is only 24 foot, so he's got more than sufficient space
Oh,
to
yeah.
put in what he would need to make that turn radius.
That was a big thing, 'cause on big property, people are gonna want, most people are gonna have equipment or something like that, you know.
Wow.
Line that in the trunk.
Now, the biggest part of this whole project here is, the main thing is, they do have the frontage on their property for the house they have there. So there's no questions, like, it's not cutting into the 100-foot frontage or anything
Yeah.
else. So I really, be honest with you, I don't see any problem with this proposal myself. Okay, I'm making,
No, because it is that motion.
okay. Okay. So you wanna make a motion, go ahead, and she can second it. Either way.
I make a
I'm just
motion that we
chairman, I
approve
can't.
this, application for,
Okay, that's it.
for.
As the chairman. right?
Various.
Congratulations, gentlemen. Get the hammers out the morning get started.
I second it.
Thank you. You have to look up.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay.
Excuse me,
You seconded it, right?
I did.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? I'm sorry.
Can we introduce?
Can you introduce
Sure, I'd be
this young
happy to.
lady to us, please?
I'm Heather Erler. I work for LPG. My professional address is 1162 Camp Avenue in Mount Dora. We are staffed to the city as the planners. So if you have questions, I'm here to answer any of those questions.
Do you have a business card?
I do, and I'd be happy to give you one after
Thanks.
okay?
Thank you. We didn't
Thank
know.
you, and
You
welcome
were
to the
giving us
board.
very good advice and we didn't know
Yes.
why.
Yeah, it's, because Jim asked me to come over and hang out with you guys, so I decided, that, hey, why not? What else do I do on Monday night?
Slow Monday night.
Well, what's so darn good about it is the organization part of it. Because before, without you, or without your company, I'd say, there's so many questions that come up that it's hard to try to answer. She'll back me up on that. At least this way here, you get a chance to look at it, and if there's any questions, you can bring it up one way or another, so it kind of keeps us organized, let's put it that way. That ain't easy, but we can do it.
You're doing a great job.
Okay, kid. All righty. Let's move on to the next situation. And that's on John Street, 331 John Street. Carl Hart. Is Carl here?
Yes, right here.
Oh, there you are. Now I know you. Yeah, now I know you. Okay. And in this situation, I was involved with you for a long time, remember? But anyhow, I gotta say one thing. When I looked at it and stuff, I went by and just took a look at it. And, 5 inches is like that. Now, I've delivered a lot of sheds and different stuff and everything else, right? And when you're unloading that shed from a truck or a trailer, whatever you might be, it's coming down the hill. When that thing moves a little bit to the left or the right, 5 inches is only that much. And it's not a heck of a lot. And the biggest thing is, in my idea, in this board here and everything else is, if it happened and stuff and you didn't do it deliberately, then as far as I'm concerned, it's acceptable. So now we have to talk to the board about it. Got any comments on it?
Okay, so I vaguely remember when this
Yeah.
came before us a while back.
Yes.
Is this the same shed?
Yeah.
Or we-
That's the original shed you put in there,
That's
right?
the original shed?
Next to, by Jim Morris's house, right?
Yes, yep.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's the same shed. But here's what happened. The question I asked Debbie was, 5 inches isn't a lot, but were you home when they delivered it?
No,
Okay, and that's my answer. I asked Debbie, I said, I wonder if he was home or not
no.
to get the ruler out. But 5 inches is nothing for that shed to slide off to the side a little bit to go in there. And being you weren't home, you weren't up the street now, were you?
No.
Okay, all right, just checking on you, that's all. But anyhow, I feel that it's not really hurting anything, that 5 inches. Okay, that's my feelings. Now, what's the board think?
So from my recollection,
Go
when
ahead.
we first reviewed this.
Yes, go ahead.
He couldn't place the shed anyplace else because of where the septic was and the slope of the property.
You're right, that's exactly right.
And I gave you an aerial,
Yeah, but I mean, we
Kinda
did,
showing the
we
outline.
did review this several years ago.
Yes,
And the shed is where we could only put it there. We did request certain shrubs to be planted to make it look, to encompass it. I'm not sure if they were planted.
Yeah.
they were. I was there the other
6
day.
feet high now.
Yeah, I was there the other day, because I can remember the bushes. Remember, that was part, you had to do
That
it.
was part of the
That was
agreement.
part of our agreement.
Yes.
Yes, okay, but I saw the bushes the other day, so we're good there.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Why is this before us today?
Well, we were going to put another shed, a smaller shed, in the backyard. And when we had to have a survey done.
And Debbie looked at
Permit,
it.
and that's when it was.
Eagle-eyed
small.
Debbie.
Nobody
Yeah.
knew it was
We didn't
5
know.
inches off till just recently.
So it's just something that Debbie came across when you brought it
Yes,
in,
when
to
you-
apply for another shed. We're okay, so I won't get into the other sheds.
Yeah, the original shed was 3+ years ago.
Yeah, because I don't, I
Has it
remember
been
this.
3 years now since we did that?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Can I be recognized, Chair?
Hmm?
Can I be recognized?
Yes, you can.
Thank you. I have just one question for you. The distance between the shed and your structure, is that less than 10 feet or more than 10 feet? Do you know?
From what?
From the corner of your house to the corner of the shed, is it more than 10 feet?
Yeah. it's
They're
more
coming
than
out
10
to the
feet.
shed.
So the Florida Building Code, where I'm getting to is the Florida Building Code has a minimum between structures, and if they measured off of the corner of your house, that's why they put the shed where they put the shed, right?
Yeah.
So that may be the discrepancy of the half foot is because they're trying to meet that requirement for the setback between buildings. And if that's the case, then that's the reason why that occurred, is they want
Yeah.
to make sure you have the full
Yeah.
separation that you're required to have. Chair, we don't, from a planning perspective, this is really a personal preference of this board. There is really no health, safety, and welfare issue here.
And I'll verify it's a lot further than 10 feet from the house.
Yes.
That's for sure. I'll back that up. So we're good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good idea. Okay. All right, so I want to get a vote on it, to approve it.
Motion.
Or motion, I'm sorry, motion for approval.
I'll make a motion that we approve the shed as.
We got a second?
Second.
Okay. All right? All right.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
That's great.
A little difference there.
That's how Debbie started it.
Why is it even here?
Because she wanted him to do another survey. That's how it happened.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Have a good one. Good seeing you.
So I'm on standing now.
You're on. You're on.
That was really a tough one, wasn't it?
Yes, we're moving right along. Pretty speedy, boy.
All right, now, the next one is the one out on Ohio at the end on the right. Correct?
West Ohio and Church Street.
Yep. Okay.
And, all right, is Uncanny LLC here?
Yes.
That is, you can,
Matt, can I have your names?
From Christina Thompson.
You good?
Okay, that's good.
Are we ready?
right here.
The Uncanny LLC.
Uncanny. Yes.
Okay, so this application, when it first came in, it came in as just a rezoning application. At the beginning of the meeting, we added a comprehensive plan amendment, a small scale. Because this property is less than 50 acres, it falls under a small scale comprehensive plan amendment. In order to do the rezone, they also have to amend the future land use category. So with the comprehensive plan, there is a map, which is in your packet. I think you guys have a copy of it. I have a zoning map and also a future land use map in there.
Is this the green and yellow map?
Yes. So we have to do we do have to do two amendments. The first amendment is to your comprehensive plan,
Okay.
and that should be the first map. That's a small scale amendment because we're under 50 acres. The reason why they have to amend that map is that map currently does not allow the density that they're asking for in the plan that they showed you. Additionally, they then have to also amend their the zoning map, which is the map that you deal with most of the time, right? Is just what's on the property now. The comp plan looks at what the future conditions of the city are going to be at 2035, which is when your comp plan technically ends, right? That's where we're supposed to be. It's really a guess. It's anybody's guess.
Yes.
And so lots of times you'll have applicants that will come in who want to split their property and the development pattern around them is consistent. So what they're asking for is supportable, like we're okay to support it from the rezone perspective, but I can't rezone it without changing both maps. So in this case, I need to add that future land use map as well as to your piece. And the other piece that we're going to be, removing was on your agenda was for minor subdivision. We can't do a minor subdivision. We don't have the right, we don't have the right materials to support the minor subdivision. So tonight, we are just looking at a future land use amendment and the rezoning. So all we're doing at this point is theoretically changing these maps, right, that are just basically paper maps that represent what we want to allow the applicant to do on the property, which is eventually do what they're proposing here. This plan meets the criteria, but it doesn't meet the form that's required under the Florida statute. So this is a paperwork exercise. First step is we have to set zoning and future land use. Then we can get into the subdivision of land. So once they get through the subdivision, once they get through the zoning and the land use amendment, then they're gonna have to come back to you to come through the subdivision process. So right now, conceptually, you can look at this plan, but please don't think that they're locked into this, because they're not. We're not doing anything tonight that's gonna lock them into this plan. They may prefer this plan, and that may be what they wanna go with, but we can't approve it tonight. We can review it, we can look at it, it's a great plan, it meets all of the zoning criteria and all of the comprehensive plan criteria, but we can't approve that tonight because the form is not correct. Just in the design of it, it has to be on a plat, on a formal plat, because it's more than 2 lots.
So basically, we're saying we can vote that they could go ahead with it and
Correct.
stuff.
But they're gonna come back, they're gonna
They're
have a
gonna
step
have
to
to,
come
yes,
back.
for the difference with the thing and
Correct.
everything else. Are you ready for this?
No,
Well, I-
You're
Okay.
gonna open discussion?
this
I'm
board
gonna do
does
that.
not have the authority to amend the comprehensive.
So you
No,
make a
no.
recommendation to city commission.
Right.
And
So
the
you would make
commission
a
does it.
recommendation
Yes.
to city commission that they not only allow for the rezoning, but they also allow for the companion future land use element update. So that comprehensive plan amendment must go with the rezoning.
All right,
Well,
go ahead.
are we open now? for
Yeah, go ahead.
discussion?
We'll
Okay,
discuss.
I appreciate you being here, and thank you for all of that information. However, as if it were a done deal, I'm looking at a zoning and comp plan that defines this area as 1 unit, 1 house for 2.5 acres. This is a 1.85 acre lot. It's not even, it's an irregular lot. When we made this comp plan, we knew there were gonna be irregular lots. So for a variance to be applied for this particular lot, I can see it going through for 1 house, but to just say it's a done deal and that it can be approved for 4,
Well,
because our comp plan has been ignored so many times that I am very concerned at the direction that we kind of go, saying, oh, this is just a paperwork thing, this is just a paper
Well,
map, this is, for me.
what I was trying to refer to was the subdivision is just a paper exercise that comes later, where we are
Comes
just
later.
showing, that we are just showing for what could theoretically, the density could fit on that property, and they've met all of the new things that they're proposing, they can meet the criteria. I understand what you're saying. What you're saying is you feel that the existing land use is what they have, and that the zoning has to match, right? So if you're leaning towards allowing that plan, the only way that plan can happen is the future land use amendment has to be, or the future land use has to be amended, and the property would have to be rezoned. If you
Right.
feel
Rezoned,
that
right.
it's not appropriate, you
Right.
feel that that's not appropriate, that's a different discussion than what we theoretically have to do to make this happen.
And I appreciate that, but every time we abandon or go around or redesign our comp plan, development doesn't carry the city. It doesn't carry us financially. Houses do not carry us financially. We have to increase fire, we have to increase roads, we have to increase stormwater, we have to increase police. I mean, this is, and I know somebody out there is thinking, oh, for crying out loud, it's only 4 houses. But that is what everybody says every time they come in here and says, but it's touching other densities that match it. Well, this plan wasn't created in a vacuum. It's a good plan. And if we don't tighten up and develop our commercial and stop subdividing all of these like greener areas, we're not gonna be able, we can't pay for ourselves now. So that's my concern. I'm sure they're gonna be beautiful, I'm sure, everybody is crossed their Ts and dotted their Is,
We
but
can't
I'm not
speak-
ready.
We can't speak to that because we don't actually have a plan for what comes
Correct.
next,
I
right? We
know.
only have a theoretical, I'm just proving that this will work.
I appreciate, yeah, and I appreciate that, but
No,
this to me is an irregular lot at 1.58 acres in a
Yeah.
2.5 acre zoned and comp plan area.
I have a question. Which way are these, you're saying these houses are facing,
They're facing
Right
Ohio Avenue.
Right in front of this White House.
So,
They would open,
facing
they would
Mrs.
open.
White's house?
Yeah.
You're gonna put 4 houses in that lot?
so right now, the
It's
plan,
just theory. I
the plan that we
understand.
have is demonstrating that the lots will come off of the existing roadway and there'll be essentially four houses there.
So it'd be 4 driveways onto Ohio Avenue, basically.
So the side of these buildings, and this is just theory,
Mhm.
the side yard of these buildings is what Church Street will see.
Well,
Well,
It would be like-
it'll see one, right? So like when you come
It'll
down
just-
toward
yeah,
Church and you
one.
turn on Ohio, you'll only see, like from Church, you're only gonna see one
Right here.
unless
There's
these are
end
completely
house
clear cut
on
and then you'll see down the
Church,
road.
the end house on
Right
the
there.
side of that house will be shown on the Church
That's
Street.
the-
Okay, now the house that's behind on Church Street, they're gonna see the rear yards of these houses, that's correct? Cause there is a
Correct.
family there, I'm just.
Correct.
On this lot right here.
Theoretically,
Theoretically,
if this is the design of how these houses are put, houses are actually subdivided in the future, or these lots are subdivided in the future. They've provided house typicals to show you what those will look like on a piece of property meeting the setback.
right, and Mantantis is a dirt road,
Right now.
Yes.
and behind that further is the highway.
Highway.
On the other side, cause I took a ride out there today, so I'm just trying to understand which way, and also, what kind of floor plan are they looking at? Is this for like a 2-story or just a 1-story?
So that discussion, right, is
Fine.
premature, and also what guides whether it's a 2-story or 1-story house is what's allowed on the individual lot. So your zoning categories allow certain heights, and once those heights are set, that's the max that somebody can put on there. So they can put a box, and they can put another box essentially on top, so a box on top of box, so 2-story. But once you hit that maximum height, you're done, right? So like, and that maximum height is measured from the pitch of the roof.
Right,
If it's a gable roof, it's like the middle of the gable. If it's a hip roof, there's a different measurement. So your code all defines that. Height is a specific measurement though. It's gonna be from the ground that's there now to whatever the top of that building will be if they went 2-story. And at this point, there's no discussion for whether they're gonna go 2-story, 1-story, because we don't know what the house is gonna look like, because we know what the lots are gonna look like. Because this is a theoretical this is a theoretical plan.
okay, it's
They're
theory, I
showing it
understand.
to you to prove that they can meet what's required by this new zoning district that they're asking for. It's to support the request for the rezone.
Right, and each one of these houses is at least about 2,100 square feet.
Correct.
I'm just looking at that on the
You look
inside.
at the lot, it looks like a lot of house for
That's a
that
lot of house
size
for a
lot.
small lot, but
Because you
that's
still
just
got your
me.
offsets for all your setbacks and everything.
Now,
That's right.
they're showing you the setbacks that work. That doesn't mean that those houses are gonna be in that footprint, right? They
Right.
have to meet the minimum setbacks, so they're showing you that this is a box that will work on this property theoretically.
All right,
When we get to the next step, they're gonna have to show me another concept plan, which will then come here, and that concept plan is gonna have to show me. It could be very similar to this, but it's gotta meet all the criteria.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with the way it looks, I just have a problem with where it wants to live.
It understood, right?
yeah,
And so part of the reason why I looked at this for that is, one, it's proximity to the highway and your area is transitioning. So this whole area used to be green, and we've allowed rezonings in this area. If that's a different, if this board has a different position now, I certainly want to know that information, right? Because I'm going to be reviewing these and making recommendations to you based on what I see contextually happening in your community. That doesn't mean,
Yeah.
it's a recommendation, it does not mean this board has to support it. It's my recommendation professionally based on what I'm seeing in your surrounding area, because I look at your land use and your plan for consistency.
Well, I can't speak to the commission or any other boards, but for me,
Mhm.
I think our citizens need to be able to depend on what the government tells them they're gonna do. And I don't, I'm not saying it's in stone, and I think there's exception, and I think there are things that can be a little bit improved here and there. But when rezoning and changing comp plans willy-nilly here and there all the time, I think that becomes a very unreliable government. And the citizens get very annoyed with that. Frankly, I'm one of them.
Understood.
In the beginning of the comp plan, our responsibility is to be sure that we maintain the feel of Lake Helen.
Of our company.
And we are losing our green spaces quickly. Everybody wants to live in Lake Helen, which is fine, but we have to say, okay. And we've had it thrown in our faces that in the past, there have been builders, you let us come down the road this far, we're gonna sue you now, because we come all the way here, and now this group is saying, no, we don't want that. We don't want that apartment complex. We don't want you to be able to do that. And that's what happens. It almost, sometimes some of these developments need the vote of the people because the people
Well,
don't want it.
That's what you guys represent,
Right,
are
right.
the people. So you're the first step in the process, so if this board is not comfortable with this, right, like I said, my recommendation is my recommendation, it's my professional opinion. But that's why we have this process, for you to recommend so that the citizens can be heard, to the city commission. Right, and I will be with Jim the day that this goes to city commission for that same discussion with that.
Mr. Chairman, is there anyone here in the audience to speak for or against this issue?
What?
Is there anybody here to
Anybody
speak
here to
for or
speak?
against this issue?
For these people.
Can I speak? Okay, for speaking for the three that live directly across the proposed area.
Are you talking on the other side of Church
On
Street?
the other side of
Ohio.
Ohio, the ground house, the two ground houses directly across.
Oh, okay, now I know where
We
you're
live
at,
there,
yes,
so-
I know where you're at, yeah.
So,
Cookie.
she's spot on,
Commissioner, we need
the
the
way it's
names.
laid out
Can-
is
wait,
long ways.
One minute, can we get your names?
My name is
You need
Casey
your names and your
Galindo.
address.
My name is Casey Galindo, this is George Galindo, and this is
801
Ms. Williams, Ms. Yvonne Williams.
801 West Ohio Avenue,
You don't want to stop.
right there at the corner.
Right where Sherman Street is.
Right,
Yes.
Down Ohio.
Yeah, that's why I have.
Absolutely. See, I don't know if anybody in here is actually from Lake Helen, because apparently.
30 years.
Awesome. The reason I say that is because Lake Helen continuously keeps growing. I moved here 8 years ago. The only reason I moved here 8 years ago was because I was tired of a lot of traffic going through our neighborhood who doesn't even slow down where we used to live. We moved here because it was a small town. And, you know, we had the greenery across the street, we had the beauty of it. All of a sudden, within 8 years of living in Lake Helen, we all of a sudden lost most of our greenery here due to having the new houses. All of our greenery is basically gone. I'm fighting for the greenery across the street from me. I'm fighting for the fact that if you actually look at the neighborhood, most of us have at least half acre. We all have at least a half acre. Now you want to build these houses across the street who basically can knock on the window next door and say, hey, can I have some toilet paper? Because that's how close they're gonna be.
That was salt, that was sugar, that wasn't
Oh,
toilet paper.
sugar.
Come on, baby, get with the program.
But the thing is that it panics me to, actually it puts more fear in me to have houses across the street from us. It doesn't make sense. I have a grandson who still, even at this point, cannot ride his bike because of the fact that nobody listens to the stop sign. So to add more people on that street that's already extremely small makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
Traffic, all already pre-existing small.
And I don't know if anybody here has kids in school. I have my grandson, he goes to Volusia Pines. You know how hard it is? I leave at 7:15 in the morning to get him to school by 8. Sorry, it ain't happening. It ain't happening. My grandson still gets there at 8 o'clock. You wanna add more traffic? Are y'all crazy? Come on. Come on.
I just gotta throw this remark in, when I walked into Debbie's office, and then he showed me, she showed me this and everything else, I says, we got a problem with that, and she goes, well, what's that, Cookie? all the logging truck parked there, we're gonna get the parking lot changed too, you know? Cause those loggers parked out there for years, remember Earl?
Yeah, Mr. J.C. lives
Yes,
out
sir, the
there.
whole crew of them.
Also,
out there.
Let,
My son.
And the mailboxes, where are they gonna go?
and let me, I mean, this particular case is, I mean, I'm pretty sure the room knows how I feel about it, but I wanna be clear that when people own property, they have property rights. There will be houses across the street, but I feel like it's my job to follow the comp plan unless there is, you know, like, this lot is it is a non-conforming lot, so I would find a variance for one house. So, but they have property rights, but, so I don't want anybody in here to feel slighted, like you don't have any you know, that you can't build, but I think keeping it as close to the comp plan as we possibly can currently is the way I feel.
So you're saying
So
that.
we can't say
that
all
would-
the green areas because people own those areas, so they're gonna build houses on them. We just have to be careful.
They don't have
I don't have
to.
to. You don't have to.
You're welcome to buy them.
Like you
Buy
said,
them,
right,
not build them.
right down Privet, right, there's plenty of land out that way.
No, that's where I live.
So
But my mother-in-law always said, I don't want all the property, I just want the property that touches my property.
Yep.
we
All right,
also have
so
a concern.
you're saying, that as far as you're concerned, they should put one house on it, that's what you're saying.
They're not here for a variance
No,
for an irregular
I'm gonna
lot
get
for one
them up.
house.
I want them to get up and speak
Right.
first.
Absolutely, I would
I
love
just
your.
want your opinion on where you're at. Could you two, or one of you want to get up and say something?
Yeah,
Okay, go ahead, we're listening.
first off, we were pretty impressed with y'all standing the Pledge of Allegiance, because we're both school teachers, we've already done that once, so this is our second time to make it. I'm not from Lake Helen, but I grew up in St. Augustine, Florida, went to News High School. So I understand what happens when, I remember St. Augustine, and if you haven't been there, I mean, gosh, I graduated back in the 80s from high school. So I know what happens. Things change, and we're not looking to make enemies, we're not looking to make things worse for people. We're just school teachers who own a lot, and would like to get value out of that, and we like the town. We don't, our kids just moved out, so we don't even know where we're gonna be living. We live in Seminole County, but we like Lake Helen.
Oh, so you live in Seminole now?
Yeah,
Oh,
we
okay.
both teach in Seminole.
Okay.
I know there was a question about the traffic. We're new at this. We're not experts, all right? We've never done this before. The first thing we wanted to do is look at getting a rezone to have the possibility to add more than a couple of houses on the property. The property is, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm hearing a lot of people saying, smaller. I think it's 1.8, is that correct?
1.85.
Yeah.
1.85. So you're looking at close to half-acre lots if we get forward. But the one thing that I looked at, and I talked to Heather once before, and Roxanne, I talked to her and Debbie before, I wouldn't even be asking this if there weren't single-family, what's the yellow? Single-family
Single-family,
3.
They've been there. since,
So
like,
I wouldn't be asking,
centuries.
but see, like I said, I'm new at this, we're, so we wouldn't even be asking or thinking about a rezone if it weren't surrounded by single-family 3. The traffic, I understand, we're empty nesters now, we just became empty nesters. We both teach high school, we wake up at 5:15 at the latest. I teach high school, she teaches kindergarten and elementary school, so we understand about having a neighborhood. We're not looking to do anything detrimental. We don't even know, we're brand new at this, we've never subdivided a lot. We're not a builder who says, you took it down this far, we want to keep going or we'll sue you. We're just people. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Are you?
No, I was just gonna ask you, did you know when you purchased the property that it was one home to 2.5 acres right there?
No, I did not.
Okay. because that's what's on the plan right now.
I understand, so once we purchased the property, then we saw that, and that was years ago, like 5, 6 years ago.
Oh, you've
So
had the
that's
property
why-
that long?
Mhm.
Oh, no kidding.
So that's why we're looking to do a rezone.
Well, I mean,
So, the problem is, no matter what, you can't build a house without having a rezone,
Without a variance.
without variance, because, I mean, you should be able to build a house on one.
Absolutely, because it's limited a lot after the conflict.
All right.
But again, we're new at this, we're looking for, it's surrounded by similar SFR three. Yeah.
What about a house that's already built? What about buying a house that's already built? There's plenty of them.
They own the property, they have rights.
I'm sorry.
They're not looking to buy a house. They're investors, they want to improve the
Okay, so
area.
you're not looking to live, to build one of
That is
those,
not
or
important
were
here.
they gonna be for you?
We don't know.
Okay.
We might not. We're,
Empty nest.
everything's on the
Empty
table.
nest. Everything's new right now.
May I ask a question? How big is the house that you live in now?
3 bedrooms, 3 baths.
Two
So,
bed-
if
three
you had to
bedrooms.
ask me, I'd say
About
Well,
18 to
3 bedroom,
22.
2.5 bath, roughly.
About 1,600 square feet or so?
It's probably
About 18?
2,000, maybe? No, 2,000, somewhere around
It's probably 18 to 22, that's the average.
3 bedroom, 2.5 bath, one floor.
All right, I'll ask you a question.
Sure.
With what we're talking about, like Teresa says with this stuff, it's gonna have to be changed one way or another, correct?
If you
Okay.
wanna support anything more than one house on this property, because right now this property is non-conforming.
Or
In its own
That's my.
green
thing.
color. She's putting it as green.
Right, but
Everybody
if
knows
they
what
wanted
it's
to
green.
build one house, they would only need a variance, not a zone change, not a comp plan change.
Correct, they would just need they would just need to go through the variance process because you're under the
That's
2.5.
That's what I was getting. In other words, instead of having 4 houses, we just settle for less houses. I'm not saying you have to or nothing, but just getting your opinion. I mean, you don't want to put one house on that property, do you?
The way
Not
it's
as an
shaped,
investor.
not as an investor, but also the way it's shaped. They're absolutely,
Yes,
they're
it's
just
however
non-conforming,
long.
so it's a long rectangle. And again, with 2, 3, or 4, I mean, we're just looking to rezone right now. With 2, 3, or 4 on there, they would be more regular shape. I don't know where we got 4 from, I can't answer that.
Well,
But it seemed like they were roughly half-acre lots to go by.
Well, that's why I asked her. In other words, you could put 2 houses on there, a little bigger
Well,
house.
here's the deal.
But
In
you
order
have to
for
go-
him to
yes.
get come in for if he didn't rezone, he'd have to come in for a variance to ask for that,
Yes.
because that varies your density, and I'm gonna say no. Like, I'm gonna tell you, when it's in rural, if you wanna just do a variance to give him 2 lots, I can't support that, because that doesn't support the density of your plan. Matter of fact, it violates your comp plan, so I would not be able to support that. The only way that he can put more than one,
Okay.
is for him to go through a rezone.
Well,
in the
that's,
future, maybe it's a matter.
you still have to go, no matter if you did 2 or whatever, you still gotta go through rezone.
Sure.
So,
Which is what they're requesting.
Correct.
yeah, yeah.
But they want to put 4 houses.
Well, that's a concept. And I don't disagree, I'm not for or against, okay? That's not, my position isn't to be for or against.
No, sure.
The question is whether or not you will recommend rezoning from single-family SFR to single-family low-density SFR3. That's the question, okay?
I'd like to say, I went out there and looked at it, it's as beautiful as any piece of property in the city of Lake Helen. Those oak trees from one end to the other are gorgeous. One house sitting in there would be absolutely phenomenal, and beautiful oak trees.
So that, at this point now, it's kind of your decision if, where you want to go.
They don't have to make that decision right now, because
No, no, what I'm saying is,
Well,
they gotta think about it.
Right.
They gotta think about the situation now.
I'm gonna.
We're saying that the way it is right now, they can only get one. But they still gotta think about where they're going and what they're doing. There's one thing we do not wanna do, and that is, Lake Helen, after 37 years here, has a pretty bad reputation as far as builders or owners and stuff like that. But we need good taxpayers, we need taxes and stuff like that, so we can't go against it. You understand what I'm saying? But that's all I'm saying. So you gotta start thinking where you, ahead of time, where you wanna go, so you can let us know what you wanna do.
I'd like to make a motion.
Before you make a motion.
Well, we're gonna make a motion.
Yes.
Like,
State your name and your address, please, for the record.
my name is Tremaine Johnson, I live at 285 Church Street. A lot of, people are concerned, now, it's, one thing is about a lot of traffic, of course, to try to keep traffic in the minimum. Also, we like the improvements, that, all the new houses that have been built, and more new houses are gonna be built, because new families are coming in. But you want to still kind of, not, we're talking about the greenery. With the greenery, there's a lot of wildlife out there that have been taking a big effect. Big beating, so should I say. You see them in the streets, the bears,
Well, I was just gonna say, we got one thing, we got a lot of taxpayers, but we got almost as many deer. I got 11 deer in my yard.
Sitting outside on a nice
I
night,
got a
watching deer
question.
walk by.
Have you seen what it's like right now, like this current moment, across where you bought your property? Have you actually sat there? I will give you permission to park in front of my house.
They're not to debate the people, they're to be asking questions to you. This is not a debate of the applicant, okay? Excuse me, all due respect, they're not here for a debate. If you have any questions or comments, you can address them to the board,
I
okay?
apologize, let me ask y'all then, let me
I
ask y'all.
apologize, I apologize.
Has any of y'all ever seen, actually sat there and admired the deer, the raccoons, everything that's just across the street? Just across the street. Everything that, I go for walks every day. Let me tell you something. I have to stop and be like, oh, there's deer crossing, let me stop. Because they've all been misplaced. They're misplaced. There's so much that has gone on. They're misplaced and no one is actually caring about
So
it.
where do we gotta go here with this?
So right now, if anybody went, they would see beautiful deer across the street.
And then we'll go from there.
Yeah, and then it will go.
All right, at this point, I think what I gotta do is, we have, as a board, we have to make a recommendation, okay?
Vicky, before you go, is there anybody else who has any comments in the room? Let's make sure that everybody is actually recognized.
Well, if we do that, we need to put them on 3-minute timers
Yeah.
and
Agreed.
ask to be.
Agreed, but we still need to open the public for due process on the application. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak? For, against? Okay, then it can come back to the board.
I'd like to make a motion that we deny this request at this time.
I think the motion should reflect to deny the rezoning and the amendment to the comp plan.
Gotcha.
Okay, we do not recommend a rezoning
Yeah.
comp plan
At this time. We'll come back.
Is there a second for that?
I second it. She-
Okay, so there, it's open for discussion, if there is any.
Earl, what's your thought?
I agree, we should deny it at this moment.
Okay, Ms. Johnson? We're just discussing it.
Let's go ahead and deny.
Hmm?
Let's go ahead and deny.
Okay,
Yeah,
where we at then? Just discussing.
just discuss.
Huh?
I'll vote aye when the time comes.
We'll vote aye when the time comes. All those in favor?
Okay, so you're saying no then? Okay, just so we know what we're talking about. Okay, so that's where we stand right now.
Take the vote.
Yeah, have a vote.
Have a vote.
All right, let's have a vote for the motion. All right, I may say aye.
All those in favor of the motion? All in favor of the motion?
Okay,
Aye.
I-
aye.
Aye.